This game is English opening variation. This opening often leads to complex and nuanced positions. It's a popular choice for players seeking rich, strategic battles. Knight takes. Pawn pushes. The black bishop on f8 aims to pin the white knight on c3. Pawn pushes. Bishop develops. Pawn pushes. Castling to the king side. Here, the move where the white knight retreats from d4 to f3 is particularly interesting. Queen tricks. Bishop defenses. Queen repositioning. White moves the rook to g1 is an interesting and strategically unusual moves. This leads to complex positions. Stockfish shows this is mistake. Black opens up the center and prepares to initiate an attack. This move is based on the idea of positioning the rook on g1. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Knight takes. Bishop attacks. Black bishop controls the powerful diagonal and targets to attack the white's weakness h2 pawn. Queen tricks. If black takes h2 pawn, the game is swiftly lost. Can you find this line? Bishop takes. Queen takes. Knight takes. Knight checks. King retreats. Knight takes. Knight takes. Bishop retreats. Pawn pushes. Knight retreats. Re-jumps to f6. Pawn pushes. Rook to e8. King to f2. Now, white clearly has a material advantage and will likely win the game later. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. Black responds with pawn to f5. This move breaks through the white center and also defends the important f6 square. Knight jumps. Queen retreats. Here, I will show you another option for white. White knight moves to g5. Queen retreats. Knight forks. Queen retreats. Rook lifts. Pawn takes. The white queen controls an important diagonal and is threatening to attack the black king. Can you see this trap? Bishop takes. Rook takes. Knight takes. Knight checks. King retreats. Queen to g8 checks. Rook takes. Knight to f7 checks, and the black king is checkmated. Well, I will backtrack. So the best move for black is knight to e5. This move attacks the white queen while also defending the f7 square. Knight checks. King retreats. Queen takes. Saves. Threats. Saves. Knight takes. Queen takes. Queen takes. Knight to f3 checks. King retreats. Knight takes. Rook takes. Rook takes. King to e1. Bishop blocks. Bishop checks. King retreats. Knight checks. King retreats. Rook retreats. Rook takes. Bishop takes. Bishop to d6, and this line is equal for both black and white. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. Another option for white is to castle to the queenside quickly. I will show you this line. Castling to queenside. Knight forks, takes. Bishop takes. Bishop to b4. Bishop takes. Bishop takes. Takes. The bishop retreats to its original square to protect against black's check. Bishop develops. Queen moves. Here, if black moves the rook to c8, the game is quickly lost. Can you see this trap? Rook attacks. Queen takes. Bishop takes. Rook checks. Queen blocks. Bishop checks. Bishop blocks. Bishop takes and checks, and the black king is checkmated on the next move. Well, I will backtrack. So, bishop to e8 is smart, and it is actual defensive move. Knight domination. Knight forks. Knight takes. Bishop takes and checks. Bishop defenses. Bishop takes. Rook takes. Pawn to f4. This position favors black, as white is facing difficulties. Well, I will backtrack. Another option for white is the move rook takes black knight. Rook takes. Pawn takes. Queen takes. Here, a trap exists. I will show you. Queen takes. Retakes. Rook takes. Rook checks. King retreats. Rook checks. King retreats. Rook takes. So, the game is easily won for black. Well, I will backtrack. So bishop to e6 is smart. Bishop takes. Rook takes. Bishop develops. Queen takes. Retakes. Rook takes. Black has greatly positional advantage. This endgame is theoretically won for black, because black has a pawn majority on the king side. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. Here, I will show you another option. The queen moves to c4. Bishop takes. Rook retreats. Pawn pushes. Queen takes. Rook takes. Pawn attacks. Bishop develops. Pawn takes. Rook checks. King retreats. Bishop takes and checks. King retreats. Bishop takes. Retakes. Pawn takes. Bishop pins. Rook attacks. Bishop takes and checks. King retakes. King goes to center. Pawn attacks. Knight retreats. Pawn pushes. King moves. King goes to attacking side. Bishop attacks. Rook to f8. Bishop retreats. Pawn pushes. Rook attacks. Rook defends. Bishop attacks. Rook retreats. Black's dangerous 3 connected passed pawns are supported by a dark square bishop, a rook in a better position, and an active king. Thus, this endgame is readily won for black. In contrast, white faces significant difficulties due to the distant position of their king and the passive placement of their rook and bishop. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. In this position, Gukesh chooses his rook lifts to g2. Stockfish points out that is unexpected but potentially move. Here, Stockfish shows this forcing line for black, which Praggnanandhaa missed. The black pawn takes the white e4 pawn. Knight forks. Queen retreats. Rook takes. Queen takes. Queen to c4 checks. King retreats. Queen takes. Rook attacks. Knight domination. Bishop develops. Knight forks. Here, a trap exists. Can you see it easily? Rook takes, knight to f7 checks, and the black king is checkmated. Well, I will backtrack. Another option for black is queen takes. Knight takes. Queen takes. Queen takes. Bishop takes. Bishop pins. King retreats. Bishop checks. King retreats. Rook to d1. So this position is equal for both players. Praggnanandhaa missed this chances. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. Praggnanandhaa chooses to move his queen to e7, aiming to exert pressure along the e-file. Pawn pushes. Knight takes. Castling to queenside. Bishop reposition. Bishop attacks. Knight takes. Queen takes. Bishop develops. Here, a trap exists. White rook moves to e1, which is a useless move. As a response, queen to g5. Bishop defenses. Bishop to a2. This position favors black, as white is facing difficulties. Well, I will backtrack. Here I will show another option for white. The white knight takes the black bishop. Let's see this line. Knight takes. Queen takes. Pawn attacks. Rejumps to f6. Queen takes. Bishop checks. King retreats. Queen checks. Queen takes. Pawn takes. Rook moves to 7th rank. Bishop defenses. Bishop checks. King retreats. Rook attacks. Rook defenses. Rook retreats. Rook attacks. Rook retreats. Rook attacks. Rook takes. Rook takes. Pawn pushes. White has a positional advantage due to a pawn majority on the queen side, a pair of bishops, an active rook, and an active king. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. Gukesh decided on this move, pushing the h-pawn to h3, attacking the black knight. Pawn attacks. Here, I will show you the drawing line for black. The bishop takes the white knight. Let's look at this line. Bishop takes. Queen takes. Rejumps to f6. Rook attacks. Rook defenses. Bishop pins. Knight blocks. Bishop takes. Queen takes. Pawn attacks. Brilliant knight moves to c5. Rook takes. Knight forks and checks. King retreats. Knight takes. Black wins with a lucky knight fork. Well, I will backtrack. Rook to d1. The game is equal for both black and white. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. Here, another option for white is bishop takes the black g-pawn. Bishop takes. Rook takes. Rook takes. King takes. Rook checks. King retreats. Queen checks. Queen blocks. Queen takes. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Pawn pushes. Rook to e1. Rook to e8. The game is equal for both black and white. Well, I will backtrack the line variation. Here, in this position, Praggnanandhaa missed a beautiful knight fork and the corresponding drawing line. Instead, Praggnanandhaa sacrificed his knight to prepare for destroying the white kingside pawns and attacking the white king. Bishop repositioning. Knight takes. Queen takes. Pawn takes. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. Rook to d8. Pawn takes. Rook takes and checks. Queen takes. Queen to a2. Bishop develops. Queen takes and checks. King retreats. Rook to e8. Rook to g4. Queen checks. Queen blocks. Queen repositioning. Queen checks. King retreats. Rook to d4. Queen checks. King retreats. Queen to h2. Queen attacks. Queen takes and checks. King retreats. Rook to g8. Bishop attacks. Rook retreats. Threats. Pawn to h5. Threats. Queen defenses. Rook to h4. Queen checks. King retreats. In the final position, Black's situation is hopeless, leading to their concession of the game. This match featured highly complex and intricate variations, resulting in numerous exciting positions. The young Indian superstar grandmasters, Praggnanandhaa and Gukesh, demonstrated very active and dynamic playing styles throughout the game,